It is time. Time once again. It's about time we had some alone time. It's awful. Welcome, everybody, to the Windy City Fantasy Football League show. We are well into the football season. We're seeing teams on the NFL side trying to jockey for playoff position and seeing who's going to make it and who's unfortunately going to maybe have to play spoiler. The Bears are still in it. Got to win out, though. Got to win all the games and have a couple of things fall our way. But it's very exciting to be a Bears fan right now. So, without further ado, let's take a look and see how everybody did last week. Last week, the teams that needed to win, well, 2 of them got wins, and 2 of them, unfortunately, did not. But kind of had a hard time for 3 teams winning, seeing as how 2 of them were playing against each other. The 2 I'm referring to are Bad Luck Sam versus Lamar You Serious Jen. It was a big, tough game, but Sam did manage to squeak it out. It scored 135.6. Jen's 124.8. Sam was led by Jarvis Landry having a monster game, 39.8 points. Christian McCaffrey having another big game. He's well on the way to be the number 1 running back this year, 34.3 points. And Tyler Boyd from Cincinnati, the winless Bengals, he still put up 22.1 points. Jen had some really big performances from Leonard Fournette, 36.9, Lamar Jackson, 36.3, and Buffalo's defense put up 13 points. If Lamar Jackson only thrown like 2 more touchdowns in that game, but he got yanked in the 4th quarter, maybe she could have pulled it out. But she unfortunately fell. Sam remains going with his 1 loss. One of the other teams that won in the top 4 was Delaney. Delaney beat Carson 106.6 to 79.4. She had some big performances from Devontae Adams at 19.3 points and Deshaun Watson at 18.9 and Mr. Bell. And his first name really just... Yep, it's gone. He had Le'Veon the Bell, 15.8 points. Although Carson did have the highest scoring player in that performance, 27.4 points from DeAndre Hopkins to come up with his score. The other top 4 team, unfortunately, Lindsay lost to Emily, 90.3 to 82.2. Emily, top scoring player of the week, pretty much. Chris Godwin, 40.4 points in a monster performance. And then Devonta Parker at 15.1 kind of followed up. Lindsay, she didn't go down without a fight, though. Will Fuller had 24 points. Alvin Kamara had 19.2 points. And her kicker, Koo, I don't know his full first name, but he's Atlanta's kicker, and he had 11 points. Going on, the teams that are trying to get in. Rick's making a good case for himself last week. He beat Austin 161 to 73.6. That is the 2nd highest score of the week and the unfortunate lowest bottom score. So that's the biggest differentiation of points there this week. Rick led by Derrick Henry, putting up a huge game, 31.5 points. Also had Michael Thomas, who put up 29.1 points, and Zach Ertz, 27.1 points. Unfortunately, Austin's team just couldn't put everything together. He was led by Edelman, who had 17.3 points, and his kicker was the next highest scorer, Chris Boswell, at 11 points. I'm also trying to stay into the playoff hunt, but so is Sue. We're coming into that week tied up. Looks like I was able to pull out the win, 164.3 to 118.2. I didn't have the highest scoring player of the week. That belonged to Sue. DJ Moore 34.4 points. That was a monster game he had. She also had Drew Brees coming in at 22.4 points and Jared Cook at 21.9 points. My team had Nick Chubb at 28.4, George Kittle at 27.9, and Mark Ingram had a huge game, 27.8 points. And to round everything out, another matchup from last year's playoffs, reworking the first week, we had Eat, Drink, and Be Murray taking down the Brown Bears, 98.5 to 79.7. Again, the losing team, Jameson, had the highest scoring player at 20.4 points, Odell Beckham Jr., and it was also followed by Ronald Jones II at 15.7 points. Michaela had Zeke Elliott, 16.6, and Jacoby Brissett at 13.2. So, now with all that being said, you're wondering, well, what are the standings then? Well, Sam is still a commanding lead at 11 wins, 1 loss, followed by Delaney at 9-3, and followed by Jen and Lindsay, both tied at 7-5. That means that the game gap has shrunk down to 1 game now. Me and Rick are trying to jockey and see who's going to make it into the playoffs and see if Lindsay or Jen has 1 more loss, then there'd be a 3-way tie for the final playoff spot, or maybe the final 2 playoff spots. Hard to say right now. Michaela, Sue, and Emily are all tied up apiece at 5 and 7. Austin is tied with Jameson at 4 and 8. And unfortunately, Carson is ending the pack at 3 and 9. He did want us to know, however, that his other league, he is winning at 10 and 1. So it's just as go that fantasy football is truly a really frustrating game. Booms, busts, and big outs. The next segment we're going to do. It's Jen's favorite segment. Unfortunately, she's not with us this evening. So I'm just going to concentrate on the big outs for the upcoming week. We'll just start right at the beginning. Arizona Cardinals. We're going to go alphabetical order by team. I know. It's almost like I'm reading something, right? All right. It looks like Kyler Murray, the quarterback, is going to be questionable for this Sunday's game. And that's the biggest injury on the Cardinals. Moving over to the Falcons had Austin Hooper and Julio Jones ruled out for their Thursday Thanksgiving Day game. For the Baltimore Ravens, looks like Miles Boykin's probably not going to play. He's questionable for that upcoming game, and they also have a center who is questionable as well. So their offensive line might have to go to a backup. In Buffalo, it looks like the biggest out would be running back TJ Yeldon, who wasn't going to be able to play. He's going to be out for that Thanksgiving Day game as well. Moving past Carolina, because they don't have any offensive players who are hurt. Chicago, Tyler Gabriel, Bobby Massey, and Ben Brownecker are all, I butchered that name, they're all out for Thursday's contest. Cincinnati, the biggest name on their list, again, A.J. Green. He will not be playing this Sunday. Cleveland. Nobody in their starting lineup has been ruled out. Kaderil Hodge, if you've got a deep wide receiver pool somewhere, doesn't look like he's going to be playing. He's questionable for that game. All right. The Cowboys, Amari Cooper, questionable, along with Cedric Wilson and Devin Smith, all wide receivers questionable for that game. Right. Denver. Now, the only reason I'm bringing up Denver is they don't have any offensive players that are on their injured list, but they do have Von Miller along with 4 other defensive players are questionable for this Sunday's game. So if you've got Denver's defense, you might want to look for someone else. Detroit. Matt Stafford still out for his contest on Thanksgiving Day due to his back. Green Bay has Brian Beluga offensive tackle is going to be out. So their line's going to be a little questionable. We'll see how they handle against the Giants. In Houston, doesn't have anybody on their offensive side that's hurt. The Colts, however, unfortunately, it still looks like Marlon Mack and T.Y. Hilton are out for this week's game. So if you've got those guys, you're going to have to put in somebody else. And moving on to Kansas City. Kansas City, Damian Williams is going to be out again with a rib injury for Sunday's game. The Chargers have two of their starting offensive tackles out of the game, Sam Tevi and Russell Okung. So their line might not be very good for Phillip Rivers or any of their skill players. So just keep that in mind. For the Rams, it looks like Darius Williams, their cornerback, offensive tackle Rob Havenstein, and their tight end Gerald Everett are all going to be out. So they're going up against the Cardinals, but doesn't look like they'll have those guys. Moving on to Minnesota. Unfortunately for Minnesota, Adam Thielen is still questionable for the upcoming game on Monday night versus the Seahawks. But he's got a little bit more time to maybe pull back and get into that game. The New England Patriots, where do I begin? That list is a mile long. Why don't we go to the important ones? It looks like Philip Dorsett II, Mohamed Sanu, and Julian Edelman are all questionable coming into that game. Now, who knows how much of that's actually going to happen? Maybe they'll come in and play the primetime game versus the Texans, but just keep an eye on that. For the Saints, well, if you've got Dan Arnold on your team, well, I guess you'll have to make sure that someone else is playing tight end. But speaking of tight ends, the New York Giants, Evan Engram, big piece of their game. He will be out with a foot problem for their game this Sunday, as will Golden Tate. So keep an eye on that. The Jets have Demaryius Thomas. He's going to be questionable for this game coming in. So their wide receiver core is going to be looking to be a little hurt, along with the Raiders and Hunter Renfrow. He's actually out this Sunday. The Eagles, Jordan Howard out. Zach Ertz questionable for Sunday's game versus the Dolphins. Pittsburgh, not much better. They've got James Conner still doubtful for Sunday's game, and Juju Smith-Schuster has been ruled out for Sunday's game against the Browns. The 49ers have Dante Pettis and Matt Breida. Pettis is ruled out. Breida is questionable for that contest on Sunday. The Seahawks have Luke Wilson, who is questionable. He's at tight end, so most of their good skill players look like they're probably going to see the field. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, pretty deep pool. Scotty Miller, the wide receiver. I don't even know if anybody has him, but he's going to be out. And rounding out the final team on the list, the Washington Redskins, Chris Thompson, questionable running back for this Sunday's game, and Paul Richardson Jr. at wideout is questionable for this game. So, if you've got any of those people, look to check your rosters, see if you've got anybody else you can put in, and try and avoid those big zeros for the upcoming week. Yes, we talk about the week that was, now getting into the week that is, and now, with only a handful of games left to try and work our way into the top four and solidify our playoff spots, matchups are getting more important by the week. And this one is much different because it is really important for the last two spots on the roster. Looks like the first game that is just for pride at this point is going to be between two of the 4-8 teams. It's Austin versus Jameson. They're going to be taking things up this week, followed by a team that's currently in the playoffs and a team with some playoff aspirations. Lindsay is taking on Sioux, with Lindsay at 7-5 and Sioux at 5-7. They're looking to maybe switch positions, and hopefully Sioux can try and get in the playoffs. Lindsay's trying to hang on to that playoff spot. Delaney, number 2 currently in our fantasy football league, is going to be taking on Michaela at 5-7. Former champ, who's looking like Every week she gets by, she's missing further and further out on the playoffs, and the repeat championship might not happen if she's not able to turn things around. So we'll see how things go from there. Speaking of the top team in our league, Sam is taking on Emily. Jennifer, Jen is taking on the nephew, Carson. Jen, another team trying to hang on to that final playoff spot. See if she can squeak in and fight for the trophy this year. And then, finally, the two teams trying to get in is Rick versus me. At 6-6 apiece. One of us is going to inch ever so closer to that final spot. The other one is going to be a much bigger uphill battle to get there. So, with that said, this is the week of Thanksgiving, week of family, a week of remembering what's important in our lives. And I wouldn't be lying if I was hosting this show and saying fantasy football is not darn important. But so's family. Family and fantasy football. What if we could merge the two? Well, I know that there is at least 3 couples, 4 couples actually, that are playing in this league. I'm going to screw that up now because it's me and Jen, Sue and Jameson, Lindsay and Austin, Delaney and Sam. I knew I screwed up. There's 5. But the 5th one is the most important. Rick and Michaela. Continuing with our interview series, we had a chance to sit down with both of them. Dual interview. And had a chance to pick their brains and see how things are going in the household of fantasy football. So, please enjoy. Happy Turkey Day, all you turkeys. You got to see a wonderful Bears win on Thanksgiving. This is a little bit late of an episode. There's going to be 3 whole games done by the time we get this show onto the air, but who cares? So, we thought, well, we're around family. Why not knock out a couple more of these interviews? So, here's an interview, not 1, but 2. Where's the camera? There, 2 team owners. They both live under the same roof. One's a former champion. There's no chance of a repeat. The other one is brand new to the league. Here's an interview with Rick and Michaela. All right. So, Michaela, I know what it was like last year, sort of, because I didn't win the championship 2 years in a row. No one has yet. No. If you had to put a percentage on it, what do you think your percentage is of winning it this year, being the first one?
Me winning it?
Yeah, you.
Well, since I physically can't get into the playoffs, I would say 0.
Awesome. Oh, very good. The streak.
But I'm going to be the toilet bowl champion.
I still don't know why that means anything, but okay. That sounds good.
It's something.
Well, okay. So is a sports hernia, or a stubbed toe, or the shingles. I don't know. Rick, this is your first year in all this ridiculous nonsense. Are you having any fun?
It's fun. It's a learning experience.
What have you learned about all this?
Don't slack on anything, or you got Michaela calling you all the time.
That's right.
That's just marriage, dude. So, Rick is currently sitting at 5-6. No, 6-6. 6-6, and we're playing this week. So, the winner of our matchup could quite possibly sneak their way into the playoffs. You being your first season making the playoffs, would that be kind of cool, or are you? What are your thoughts on that?
No, man, that would be horrible. He's hoping that he loses, so he's not in the championship.
I asked him the question.
It'd be great. You got Samuel to worry about. I think that's the big concern right now.
As I've made it known on this show numerous times,
Sam does really well in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, he chokes like
He's looking
something that chokes a lot.
He's looking
Well, I'm
pretty
thinking
tough
I'll
right
just
now.
FedEx him the trophy now. Maybe that'll give him some good luck going into the playoffs.
He is looking
Why would you
really
do such a
tough.
thing? That's awful.
Where is the trophy? Y'all
All
should
right.
be sitting with it.
Oh, we should. It's up on top of the fridge.
Yeah, you've already forgotten about it. It's not even a part of your life anymore. That's sad. All right. Well, so let me think here. These are really good interviews. Trust me. All right.
Blow up this
Each name your
carrot.
team
Still says
after one of your
2018.
players.
Go up.
Would you think about changing your name this point in the season? Like if you had to put a different person in it, because your winner is. Oh, okay, yeah, you've got the trophy now. When was the last time you actually held that in your hands? Was it a year ago today when I gave it to you?
Oh, I've held it.
Oh, okay.
Because Carson gave it to you.
Actually, you gave
No.
it to her on Christmas Eve.
Where
not
did you
Thanksgiving.
get it?
That's right.
I
Thank
earned
you.
this.
Thank you.
Through a lot of hard work, dedication.
But I can't blow up this balloon.
Okay, come here. Let him.
All right, so we've got Luck be a Brady and Eat, Drink, and Be Murray. If there was another guy on your roster that you had to name your team after, who do you think it'd be?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the hard-hitting questions.
I don't even think I have a lot of the same players that I drafted.
Don't worry about that. If you had to pick another name, it doesn't have to be somebody you originally drafted. If you had to pick another name, if you had to base it off another player.
Right now, are you putting me on the spot?
Yes!
Maybe Woods, because I'm
There's a-
not out of the woods yet.
Oh, see, he answered. Now
Got
it's
it.
on you now.
Can I you blow this up?
That's a good answer, by the way, for being on the spot.
What do you mean?
I
Waiting.
have to look at my phone. Come on.
Chop, chop. There's going to be a delay of game here in a second.
I have nothing.
I say I know what mine would be because it was my second choice.
Well,
I'll stick with the same thing, and I'll be merry and gay because I picked up
Murray?
Matt Gay.
your kicker?
Yeah,
You'd be Murray and gay?
Be Marie.
You're Murray and Gay.
Murray and Gay.
You know
Yeah.
what? There's an answer. That's an answer. I'll take it. All right. End of the season predictions. This is for real football now. I'm not going to put you on the spot for fantasy football. How many more wins do the Bears get this year?
2.
They're currently 6-6.
And there's 5 weeks left.
4 weeks left.
14, 15, 16.
And they got the Vikings and Packers left.
Yes.
I think they'll finish 500, 8-8.
8-8. Okay. No faith.
They're losing to both the Vikings.
I hate to say it, but I'm kind of going that route also.
Oh no.
This is the right way.
No.
I don't think Mitchell's gonna. I don't think
You don't-
he's got the stuff to carry him.
Oh,
I
no.
really don't. I hate
All
to say
right.
What other fantasy
Well-
sport? Ask him
Why don't you ask him that?
that. Fine. We asked a lot of people what other fantasy sport would you guys want to do? If it wasn't, what other?
If we were doing another one besides football, what other fantasy sport would you want to play? With this group of people.
basketball.
The only other sport I watch is baseball.
That's what me and Sue both said baseball, and Carson as well.
That would be hard
But
though
it's
because
too
there's so
long.
many games
And
every
it's
week.
too long.
Yeah,
It would be
it's-
hard to.
Yeah, basketball would be the same thing.
I'd learn more about hockey. Hockey might be fun.
I like hockey. I would suck at it.
Practice.
Oh,
Baseball.
I
I
do
had another
hockey.
question.
Huh?
I thought I had another question. It's gone now. Oh well. Well, final thoughts. If Rick, if you were to win that trophy, if we were to stay in this house and just have your name on it next year, do you think your wife would be angry at you in any way, shape, or form?
Does it get a better better spot than above the
Does it get a better spot in the house than above the fridge?
It'd be on our shelf.
I
out
was saying,
in the
add
living
like
room,
add
yeah.
There
another
you
shelf
go.
above the TV.
There you
Because it'd be
go.
my first year.
Beginner's luck.
Oh yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
First year.
That would be amazing.
It'd be fun to keep it in the house.
You're acting like you're in the
All right.
We can come back to our house.
You got to make the playoffs first.
Good.
You're kind of self-destructing at the moment. It's okay. We're not going to talk on the car ride home. I don't mind
getting
it.
the stink eye.
Yeah, we're not talking on the way home. All right. Any parting words for the fan base?
Happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas
I feel like you're in the
in a few weeks.
We're not going to talk to these people until then. Got it.
I feel like you're in ABC.
All right. Well,
And happy birthday to Grayson.
Oh yeah, it's Grayson's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, bud.
Happy birthday!
buddy.
You're 9!
oh, one more year and you're in double digits. It's all downhill from there. And it's Winston.
It is down.
And it's Winston.
Winston's in a turkey coma.
Oh. All right. Thanks, guys. Much
We're in ABC
appreciated.
News.